From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together there is no stopping us.
Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. A little bit later today. It's just gone 5 p.m. here, London time, which is aligned with UTC. Just wanted to do a little live stream with you all just to kind of close out the week. I know we've got a lot of new members that have come in, which is really, really awesome to see, but also all of you guys and girls that watch this on a regular basis. I'm not sure if it works out time-wise for some of you as it goes internationally, but I thought it might just be a nice way to just kind of finish off the week. Let's see where we are, see what a few choice picks are doing, and look kind of towards the week ahead as well. Always important for me personally to kind of close the week down in a way that I know the trades that I've taken, I'm running through my journal. I don't really trade weekends, right? So what I tend to do is I tend to decant everything on a Friday. I review it on a Sunday, so I have all my setups and everything ready to go for the market. Gio, Erica, of course you're here. You know what? I didn't even have a second's doubt. So in fact, this is really just for you guys or for any of the real regular watchers that have managed to make it in, or any of you new people that have maybe just kind of seen the courses or been around during Black Friday that kind of have some questions that they want to ask. I'm just going to do a really quick 30-minute show, right? And basically it's answering any of your key problems, any of the real key challenges that you have. Hey, Erica. And yeah, to look at that. If not, we can maybe run and do some top down. Hasta la vista, Barbie, as well, sneaking there in the background. Brilliant to see you, mate. Let's make this full screen. So guys, what's on your mind right now? What are the things that you're struggling with? Have you found the current market conditions difficult to trade? Are there any particular coins or pairs that you're looking at that you've really kind of got questions over that we can run down? Because let me zoom out on this for a minute. I just got a soul chart. I was working through it with somebody earlier. We can see I really do like trading. I don't know if I've still got a lot of my old positions on here. No, must have taken them off. But it's a really, really nice low time frame asset to trade. So, hello, Hasta la Vista, Barbie. How you doing, mate? So, look, before I waffle on too much, let me just zoom out really quickly, right? Let me get rid of this a second. And let's just look at where we are. So, I know a lot of people have been getting chopped up at the moment because basically we find ourselves in this tight little kind of consolidation period, which to be fair isn't really that much of a surprise when we consider the massive run up that we have. CS Lychee, hello, welcome. Not really that much of a surprise, is it, when we consider the run up that we've had? You know, we've come off of this kind of period of really, this is kind of a big period of consolidation. Claudia, hey, welcome. Oh, I'm really glad you can finally join in. So time frame works a bit better for you, does it? Awesome. Guys, yeah, do stay in touch. Let me know. Tammy F as well. Good vibes straight back to you, Tammy. Lovely to see you as always. If different time frames work, I think moving forward, I'm going to try and be streaming pretty much every day for members, and also I'll keep my public streams as well for everybody. Do let me know if these times work really well, because it would be really good to accommodate as many of you guys as we can. So, before I waffle on too much, look, we're in a really, really big, strong, bullish trend at the moment, okay? Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, but you don't really know you're in a bullish trend or a strong bullish trend until, it's basically too late. You basically have this situation where people kind of say, okay, we're going to reverse here, okay, we're still going up. People start to jump on board along here, and this is where you tend to find areas of danger. So what I like to do is I like to simplify everything as much as I can. I'm always asking myself, and at the moment I've zoomed out to a weekly here. First thing that we can see is we have these really, really kind of key upside targets, the all-time high, swing high, swing high, swing high. These haven't been run. This one has, right? Now, as someone that bases a lot of their trading on either reversal trading, unless I can get involved in really, really strong trends, then when I see a key high or low engaged with, I'm starting to rock out this kind of pink color because I think it really helps kind of stand out. Then what we're doing with the charts is, or what I'm certainly looking for, is I'm looking to trade from liquidity to liquidity, right? So I'm looking for old highs, old lows, yeah? And then the inefficiencies, which are our fair value gaps. And the premise is that if we sweep liquidity from a low, like we did down here, then price normally returns to a rebalance of fair value gap. Yeah. So this is the principle of taking external liquidity down here, traveling to internal liquidity. From internal liquidity, we then attack external, so on and so forth. Again, that's something that I picked up many years ago from Michael, ICT. People will know him as on Twitter. Really, really exceptionally gifted trader and mentor. So I'd always recommend checking out his stuff if you do. Another person that I can't speak highly enough of, aside from Crypto Burb. And the reason I don't mention him as much is because I work alongside him, but is Trader SC as well. Awesome, Claudia. That's quality. All right, I'll try and bring in some later ones then throughout the week. So we've got this key level here. Now, my expectation whenever we run liquidity, right, on these kind of levels is to look and say, okay, well, how did we react at the level and where are we looking or likely to head for next? So the question is, where's price reaching for? Yeah. So if price is bullish, and if we just mark up some of these highs, this can always give us a pretty good indication. These were a real juicy one for me because they are equal highs. Yeah, see how that high is pretty much the same high as that. Now, they don't have to be spot on to the dollar, in which case we would call them relative equal highs or relative equal lows. But these are areas of engineered liquidity, right? Same as these ones down here. Now, I'm not saying we're coming back to take these immediately, but typically when you see these on a chart, they're areas that are run. So look at this aggressive run up into take this liquidity here. Now, what you notice here, the difference between these different areas, is look at the closes, right? On a really high time frame chart. So what do we get here? We've got these equal highs. Expectation is when we engage with this that we have a slight pullback, right? But what we're ultimately looking for is how that candle closes. Now, a candle close above a level is no guarantee that price moves higher, but it does give us an indication so that we can look on lower time frames, okay? So to kind of conceptualize the very basics of what I'm looking for price to either be attacking an old high or an old low, or to rebalance a fair value gap, all right? Now, if we drop down to a daily, well, you can see that we get a little bit more information here, right? So we can see where our key levels have come from, yeah, weekly key levels. Now what we're asking ourselves is, well, what gives us conviction, yeah, that price is above? Now, look what happens here. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Then we get this pop through, right? And we get this close. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an arrow on that quickly, right? And I'm going to show you. So we would need to wait for this candle, right? Not this one, because until this candle closes, it might do what this one did. Look like it's about to come above, but ultimately close below. So this is the week that we're then looking to trade bullish. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to mark that with a horizontal line, the vertical line even, and I'm going to do that green so that when we look back, we can see. Now, next level that we come to, the next key weekly level that we come to, what do? We get a strong close above here, yeah? So ultimately, again, what we're saying to ourselves is, while price is bullish, right, then we want to stick with the bias. So don't make it any harder than ourselves than we need to. James 14, hello, mate. Hello, great to have you on the show again. So again, here, we're bullish until proven otherwise, right? Now, again, and this is just basing this on our key levels. I'll show you how we decant this and look at this on lower timeframes to keep ourselves in trends, right? Now, again, strong close above here. So from this candle on, again, we're looking for bullish continuation. If I drop this down to a 4 hour, let me just turn my session breaks off for a second. Right, now remember, we've drawn these lines, right? We've drawn these lines in a specific way. This indicates that it is go time from this line, yeah? So what we're doing here is whenever we reclaim a level, what we're looking for in price is if we want a long, yeah, then we're looking for price to pull back first of all and give us an opportunity to buy in at a discount before it moves higher. So what I do with my trading, I've got a key liquidity level here that I'm targeting when we're down here. I've got a key liquidity level here that I'm targeting. And I know that after the green line, I'm just simply waiting for price to pull back, consolidate, and give me an opportunity to get involved. Brian, how you doing, brother? Good to have you on the stream. And our boy QBS, solid Brit. Yeah, we do have a lot of banter about that accent, don't we? So, is this making sense, everyone, so far? So when we've identified a level, we don't want to just say, okay, well, price is breaking out from that level, let's get involved. We want to give ourselves a set of parameters because quite often if you see a rejection from a level, yeah, in the same way that we had this initial rejection here, can you see how it's kind of like a V shape? Quite often it peaks up and then comes down just as quickly. And that's because price has got to a level where it's failed to reach acceptance. People have closed positions, but also larger commercial players up here can target these areas of liquidity. Yeah, so there's a lot of buy orders up here, stop losses, breakout traders, etc., and they can fill their sell orders with very limited slippage and run the market the other way. So if we're not seeing that, what we're ultimately looking for are these strong moves above, and then for these key levels to be looked as support. Okay, so whether you're a 4-hour trader, in terms of a position trader, whether you're looking to swing trade this, I'm just going to drop this down onto an hourly now. Right, we've got our levels, we've got our lines, we've seen the areas that we're getting our pullbacks. Right, so for me, I'm always looking for this. What I want to see is a consolidation like this, right? So what did I say? Remember, we're looking for price to come up. We don't want to jump in here because we're already kind of short-siding ourselves. And quite often, if we buy in too high into a move, then that can get retraced. What we want to do is we want to say to ourselves, okay, well, where is there a show here that price is ready to move higher? And for me, it comes in these displacement legs, right? So within this expansion, we want to see two things. We want to see a high taken out because we're bullish. So we see the high taken here. Yeah, let's do that in red. And ideally what you want to see before it as well is the price is drawing down to take out an old low, or the price, again, remember, same theory, is rebalancing a fair value gap. We'll do that in green to show that that's a bullish fair value gap, okay? So what happens? Price comes up, we tap into it just a little bit here. Then we have that momentum move higher. So how can we get involved in this move, right? Well, for me, I typically take a couple of different approaches, but I'm going to focus today on fair value gaps. Right, so we can be a buyer in here, right? Ultimately, we know where our risk is. It's below these lows. You always want to go a few points below it, okay, just in case you get that slightly deeper sweep. Or for a more simplistic approach, and I'm very much on board with things being simple. This was a very early method I used to use I called it a breaker line. I don't call it that so much anymore because it can get confusing between breaker candles and bits and pieces like that. But ultimately, this is the key structure shift. Price has corrected. We've had an expansion higher. When that closes above, yeah, I would then place a limit order on this line. We can see the next candle come down, tags us in, and ultimately goes higher. Okay, so now we're going to look at that and overlay that on our other areas here. Yeah. So here's our next green line. Like we said, we've come back down to our weekly level here, which we're looking to hold. Remember what we said? We want to see price correcting down. So here, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high. Yeah. So within here, we're saying, okay, look, we can see how we're building structure, right? So we've come from this downtrend here. We've set the low. Now we're starting to creep back up in a bullish sense. Yeah. So with this respect, market structure really is our friend. Now, ultimately, what we don't get in this move that we had in the previous move is displacement. All right. So what we would have to look for, following our rules, right? Have to follow our rules with any trading system. You need to test this with as much data as you can to within an inch of its life, right? So what are we doing, as we said here? We want to see displacement. Well, we actually get displacement here, but we don't know about it until this candle closes, okay? So if we were using our breaker method, which is here, here's our displacement, right? And in an ideal world, you'd love to see a trace back into this and move away. Sometimes when price action runs hot, you don't, okay? So maybe if that's something that you find yourself getting trapped in, you can have a safe entry here. Yeah, so we get the close above it here, which actually confirms the fair value gap as well. And then we can place a limit order, which we get tagged in here, all right? Then ultimately, if price does correct back down from here, you can save a portion with a limit order down there so that you stay within the trade. So we can see again here, this gave us an opportunity to stay long in terms of looking at it from a swing perspective. Now, we'll just look at our last example up here. Now, remember, because this had a really big expansive move higher, right? We were saying in here, what we want to see is a corrective move. Yeah. So in here, we actually want to see this move as the sweep. And then we want to see that market structure break down in here. Yeah. So ultimately, we come in and we drive into this level. Now, if we look to the left, we can see that we have this bullish order block. And why is it a bullish order block, which I'll do in blue? Is because it's the down close candle that moved higher. Now, really, this is an area that we're looking to support price. So when price comes back into this, our expectation is not a high probability order block, but what we're doing is whenever we're in a bullish trend, yeah, or whenever we're bullish, we want to see the down close candles support price, right? Those down close candles become valid when we close above them. So we can see we had this move away, we didn't retest this. However, we set another one here. And when we closed above that, we can see ultimately this supported price higher. We had this big corrective move down. Why? Because we engaged with a key high time frame level. That can very, very easily just be people taking profit. Doesn't mean we're going to reverse here, but we can move to lower time frames to find setups. But ultimately, when price corrects back down here, as long as we know where our key levels are in our areas, then we can look at that for support. So that's what we're looking at, all right, when we're up here. Just draw that across a bit. So we've got our corrective move, and sometimes it can help if you wanted to just draw a trend line on that. If you're doing it of best fit, I would probably suggest that one. You can either anchor them to the wicks. That typically the best way I've ever been taught diagonals is to just, for your first few points of contact, you don't want it to violate any bodies. If it violates bodies later, these can often be deviations. We can see we get an over and under. Price comes over, comes back in, finds support in this fair value gap before moving away. However, what this also keeps us in tune with is the fact that we're setting lower highs and lower lows. But what do we want to look for? Remember what we were just talking about? We want to see price come down and then change market structure to bullish, right? So there's a low, a higher high, a higher low. This move up here is where we want to be involved. And ultimately what we have here is, make sure that's linked to that, is this would be our breaker candle. Yeah, our breaker high, meaning that this is where we would wait for the close above in this candle, and then we would enter here. Our stop loss, aggressive stop loss, would be a few pips below this low, or ultimately the origin, which is that low. If we were also trading it as our fair value gap method, remember we want to see this gap, we want to see this displacement moving price higher, then what we would look to do is enter in this fair value gap here. All right, our risk is under here, and we've got a key target up here, which actually, when we zoom back out, is a daily or a weekly level. So we're using the low time frame to find our entries and exits and to frame our trades based around higher time frames. Okay, so here we go. I was really hoping we'd get this actually. So here's the down candle, our most recent down candle that price closed above. Yes, we had a down candle here as well and here, but price hasn't closed above any of them. So for me, we can see within this consolidation is where I would be looking for price to have some kind of bullish reaction. All right. Now, on the daily, on the 4 hour, we can see here, this is a 4 hour fair value gap. So again, price has taken liquidity from the highs here and has ultimately worked down into this fair value gap, right? We've got this depicting the sweep. Right, we would always look left to make sure we're not engaging with a high time frame level over there, which we're not. We're engaging with this. Price is starting to break down. Now, these fair value gaps give us a really, really good indication of areas that are either going to hold or violate. If they violate, meaning that we close below, which would have to be on a 4 hour scale. Yeah, so let's just imagine with this move down here, this candle on a, it doesn't look that bad. This candle here closes below on a 4 hour scale. Well, my thought process then is that price is looking for liquidity lower, and ultimately it would be this low that I'd be looking to target. We didn't get that. Price actually came into our area of interest here because we've got a bullish bias, so we're using these fair value gaps to target areas that we can be buyers, right? So if that's the case, bearing in mind we're looking at this on a lower time frame, we would simply decant our triple screen system lower, right? So we can go from using a weekly to a 4 hour to using a 15 minute to execute. So same thing, right? Here's our purge lower. Remember what we said, if we're bullish, we're looking for it to correct to this area between the black lines, which is our higher time frame fair value gap. We want to see a downtrend heading into that, lower lows, lower highs, and then we want to be involved when price breaks structure, right? So once again, we see price goes lower lows to lower highs. Yeah, so just to draw it in quite crudely for you, this kind of area here. And here's the pop, right? We can see that, yeah? See these moves here? Let me just delete that. We can see in these moves here, we didn't have the displacement. The displacement is this fair value gap that's created, right? And again, here's our high. So this would be our breaker entry. Right, there's a breaker line. I will change it again at some point, although technically it's also the height of this breaker candle. Yeah, which is the breaker before price swept liquidity lower. I'll go into that on different streams. So for here, we're saying, okay, we're taking an entry here. Do we have a clean and clear upside target? So the first thing I'm looking for is I'm saying, okay, well, right, we have these highs over here. Yeah. So we obviously want to be aware of those. I'm not going to really say, look, I'm going to close the whole position here. Let's take this one, but it is something that I'm going to be aware of. And then ultimately, obviously, we're looking to these highs up here as well to be taken. We can see Sol's finding a nice bit of support down here at the moment. So with our narrative in place, we've got two entries, right? Fair value gap's confirmed there. Limit order gets placed because we've closed above the breaker line. It tags us in here, would have tagged us in here again. And like we said, we can also split our orders so that we can look for fair value gap entries. So we would technically have one entry on this line. Yeah. We know where our risk is. It's under this low. So we always want to make sure we've got at least a 1. In truth, I like a 1.5R trade typically to get me involved. But what we do here is by then entering within the midline of the FEG, which is the equilibrium, we actually then halve our position size between the two. So our average entry becomes about here. All right. If we don't tag into the fair value gap and we just get our breaker entry, then that's fine. At least, as we would say in England, we have some skin in the game. Now, what you can do here is you can wait, or I would wait for this to engage with our original target. I might look to trim a little bit of profit, but ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my stop loss to entry at this point. So I've trimmed a little bit of profit here, which is in and around about 1 and a bit R. Yeah, 1.4R. But I'm leaving at least some of it, if not the lion's share, on for price to take out these liquidity targets higher because it's in line with my bullish bias. All right. So I hope that's kind of made sense to everyone. How we can just use really simple methodology. We started this on a weekly. Let me just zoom back out so we can just highlight key weekly levels. And these are just simply swing highs, right? Where liquidity is resting. These are really key because they're equal highs as well, or relative equal highs. Key swing high here as well, right? And you would take it back down to these ones too. I know I didn't give these examples, but I just wanted to give a few. These are kind of relative equal highs. What we can see here is the price actually rejects. So we actually get more of a corrective move down here, yeah? When we engage with it here. Price comes in, it corrects lower, right? Because it's taken external liquidity. This is the corrective move where it's looking for support within here. Where does it find support ultimately? Within our inverse fair value gap. These are really, really key areas when you're looking at market reversals as well, guys, or they can be if you know what you're looking for. That's a bearish fair value gap, meaning that when price retraced, we would look for it to reject price again. When it closes above, our assumption is always then that it's reaching for liquidity higher, which ultimately are these highs. The other thing that you can look for here, and this is a big one, and you also want these to be singular, but this fair value gap here, rejected price, rejected price, rejected price, close above it here, and look how expansive and aggressive that move higher is. Now, I'm not saying it will always be the case, but if you just go back through your charts, right, and you look for these inverse fair value gaps, we have one here, for example, right, where's the next low once we close below that? It's here. This is where price closes below, meaning that when you then move into this area here, you can move in on a lower time frame and target short trades down to this. From here, we then simply decant it to the lower time frames to frame the trade, as we did with the 4 hour, right? So we're, just to run through this once more for anyone, we're still bullish here. We've had this close above, yeah? So now if we move this line across to here, what we're saying is we're now looking for price to correct down into a fair value gap, right? into an area where we can find support. So ultimately, here's our green line. What happens? Take the high. Here's the fair value gap. You get rid of this for a second and just draw you in the FVG so you can see it properly. We're going to do that in green to show that this is where we buys. Remember, we're framing all of this on the high time frame. Price corrects down. Remember what we were saying. We want to see that correction lower into our area of interest. So let's just put a nice little U under that. Then when we drop to our 15-minute chart, we move back to where we've got our area of interaction, and all we're looking for within here is the same thing, right? If we're dropping this now down onto a 15-minute chart, I know we did this on the hourly. Obviously, just make sure that you've got a full understanding of your triple screen system, and that means that we use one screen to set the high time frame bias. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? We use a medium time frame. For example, in my system, I typically use a daily to set the bias, a 1 hour to frame the trade, all right, and then a 5 minute to execute. For this one, we're using a weekly, a 4 hour, and a 15-minute, yeah? And ultimately, what we're looking for here is close with displacement, a retest, fair value gaps that were in here, and price to move away. If you were looking to scalp this, right, I would be focusing on our kill zones, right? So remember, we're not looking for this until we get set this higher, because this is our break of market structure higher, yeah? And then we want to align it with these. So remember, here we've got our New York PM session, right? What happens here? We have a break of structure. We draw over our premium discount range, which is just a 50% range. We then want to look for fair value gaps and order blocks in this area. We have a fair value gap here. We have an order block just below it. We immediately know what our risk is. Let me get rid of this quickly because that's on our hourly. So we can say to ourselves, right, this is how we refine the trade. We place our limit order on the top of this. We would place our stop loss under here. Right, again, always a few pips. We wouldn't have quite got stopped out if we were right on the lows. We can see here it just missed it. But it does pay dividends just for the sake of a tiny little bit extra to just put it down a bit so that you avoid any of those real kind of raking wicks. And then our first target would be here, the immediate high. If we're wrong, we've just moved our stop loss to entry there, meaning that it's risk-free. And then ultimately we're playing up to this high here, which was our daily high, so on and so forth. All right, guys. So look, I hope that's been useful. I don't know if anybody does have any questions. I am live on YouTube for everybody on a Monday and Wednesday, normally around about 1200 UTC. I do more live streams than that for our members as well at the Bird Nest. And actually, guys, sorry, I'm always terrible with this. If you are interested in it, I keep getting DMs about people asking about memberships. Look, at the moment, if you want to make the most of it, the reason I've been saying to hold off until now is because the Black Friday offers are out, right? So there's basically 50% off everything. From the B Pro indicator that you can go and take a look at Crypto Burb's Twitter page with that he's made $500,000 with already this year. That's a standalone, typically trend-following system. Or if you want to catch our courses, you want to come and be part of the team. We've got a trading team, 6 of us that trade every single day. All of those calls are made available along with explanations. But if you are interested, guys, you can check the links in the description, or you can come and drop me a line on Twitter as well. And we can get involved. And also, charting wise, if you're using it, yes, I am endorsed. We're endorsed by TradingView. We don't get anything for this. Just make sure to check out their Black Friday offers, right? 70% off, it's mental. And if you think about it, you can upgrade to the Pro membership at the moment, I think, for the same price as the one below it. And it's just in terms of the data you get a lot more back data, just meaning you can test a lot more. And just really, 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 guys, make sure that you're focusing on education. If you're trading with funds, don't trade with funds you don't have. And make sure that you've got a system that's seriously well tested, that you know for months and months and years of data. All right. So just a big thank you to all. Stream Doctor, I didn't know you were snuck in the background there, mate. Great to see you. So huge thank you. We've had loads of people watching this, which is really, really cool. I'll maybe try and do some Friday things in the future, but obviously Stream Doctor, Erica, QBS, Brian, James, Claudia, it was lovely to have you on here as well. I'm really glad you managed to join this one. That's really cool to know. Tammy as well, CS Light, hasta la vista, Barbie, our really dear friend, obviously GOT, and another mention for Erica, who literally never ever misses a stream. Then again, Geo barely does either, even when I announce one last minute on a Friday. All right. Just want to take a moment to just wish you all a really, really fantastic weekend. Get outside, touch some grass. Markets aren't going anywhere. spend some time with family, friends, make the most of it as we build up to Christmas, and just wishing you all a fantastic weekend. If you've got any questions, come and grab us around the nest, or you can reach out to me at Twitter at BC_Ridgefield. Take care, guys.